private equity has actually been one of the major issues discussed in this conference. How exactly private equity can work in favor of the ship owners nowadays?
I think private equity has been the sort of marginal player always, at least the last decade. And it's big volume money, and they're very smart in analyzing. They think they have it right, not always so, but it is an important instrument to use for shipping business.
You said marginal. Could actually this change in the foreseeable future?
No, I think private equity historically have entered shipping because of distress. That a lot of the private equity have actually been investors in the bonds and mostly the publicly traded instruments. And after they have learned the ropes, then they get into going long and investing in shipping. And we have seen that 10 years ago, and we see it today. And I think because there's so much restructuring going on, that a lot of American funds, in particular private equity, are going into distress situations. They will then learn the ropes, and as Apollo was saying today, that even Apollo with their enormous funds will go into sale-leasebacks and smaller deals. So I think it's all very positive, and I think it's exciting not only from the American market, but also the Norwegian and the Far Eastern market that have a lot of funds for shipping.
So do you actually believe that private equity will actually become the main trend in financing the shipping industry?
The main trend is really the export credit agencies. That's the main bulk of ship financing. And then you have the traditional banks, and they will still have absolutely the core base of the business, and they will continue having that. But then you have a margin that has to be filled by somebody, and that used to be the KS market in the past in Norway, then it was the KG market in Germany, then it became the private equity, and then I think that will turn into more private equity debt. So I think we see a trend now of having more private equity going into debt instruments or convertible instruments than straight equity. And that might be the change.
Is there a specific sector that private equity looks in order to invest the money in specific sectors of the shipping industry?
I think so. I think private equity have learned that it's very dangerous to go into specialized shipping, that they're much better off to be involved in assets that are standard, so bulk carriers, supra, ultra handy, or tankers of any size, but not specialized. But they are also moving into, as we have seen in the stainless steel, more industrial kind of business. So I don't really think there is a limit, but size matters, and they want to put a lot of money to work. But as we discussed at the conference today, there's a lot of private equity that have backed smaller outfits that are now lending to projects. And that's private equity too, right? So they are using middlemen or funds to invest in smaller sale-leasebacks, typically where there is not a big balance sheet behind, but where it's a good project. And for the Greek market, I think that is particularly interesting. So we see the breakwaters of the world and the northern capital of the world, the northern funds, and Solar Shipping, to name a few. Also Oaktree put up a new fund over $250 million of fresh money that want to do sale-leasebacks and debt. And that's not cheap debt. It's not 200 over, but it's typical sort of 5 to 12% kind of returns, and maybe even equity kicker or an IRR that will turn out to be 15-20. But then you need to take some risk too. So.
Finally, could you please comment on the Capital Link Forum?
Well, I've been involved with Capital Link for many years, and I think it's very good, mostly because it's limited, at least the New York event, is limited to investors. So they don't have to pay to get in, which means that they go, because other conferences typically cost a lot of money. And they say, look, are we going to spend $3,000 to send a team to this conference? Probably not. But because it's professional, fast-moving, they have the industry players. And I've been to this conference here 2-3 years ago, and it was big then, and it's even better now. So, but I came here also to recognize Gromenos, because I have two sons that studied at the master course, and I know how important he has been to my sons, so I know he's been important to 4,000 other people, so just to see him and recognize him was important to be here.
Thank you, that was fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.